Come on, Bishop.
Just say, open your Bible to St. John the 13th chapter. It's not a blessing if you don't receive it.
Amen, baby.
It can be good, but if you don't drink it, you'll never know. Let the redeemed of the Lord say it so. At some point in time, you got to know that Jesus has been good to you. I mean, he's been good to you. I mean, no music, no story, no song, no he's just been good to you. John the 13th chapter, verse number 34 and 35. I ain't even talking about new luxury car good, new job good, extra money in my bank account good. How about everyday good? Walking, talking, working good, living, moving, breathing good. I mean, just good. Matter of fact, if you were getting fake, you would be able to say, if he doesn't do anything else, is he that good to you? If he doesn't do anything else, he's already done. Not just enough, but more than enough. That's in John 13 chapter, verses 34 and 35. Also, all those of you who are continue to give and keep on giving, we will get there after a while. Somebody shout, thank you, Jesus. St. John 13 and 34, a new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another. If you would bear with me, let me read that one more time. A new commandment give I unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another. Thank you, Jesus. If you would, just turn to someone who can hear you and just tell them, how does Jesus love you? How does Jesus love you? Encouraging you, that's the real question. And also the real problem. The problem is that the church has changed the emphasis or the diagnostic, the way that we assess ourselves, the way that we ascertain if we're living to the mark, the way that we understand that we're walking in the will of God. We've changed it to suit our needs. The David was found in sin because he had the one sin. He numbered the people because he needed to know the number. And now the church has turned there's two ways to assess data. There's quantitative and then there's qualitative. And quantitative is just simply adding up how much you got, seeing what you got, and dealing with that. But when you're qualitative, you're just stating the quality of it. And so the church has become so much quantitative. And so we want to love a lot of people a little bit. How many members you got, how many people you know. It's all about the numbers. Amen. And so because we got into that kind of information, because we assess ourselves, and the blessing is not just who you are, who you with, how much money you got. That's right. We got caught up with the numbers. If you got a little money, you're a little blessed. If you got a lot of money, you're a lot blessed. Amen. And so because we got into that kind of measurement, because we came into that kind of analysis over our relationship with Jesus, we've now changed the measure of love. Now it is what you want it to be. Now you can love as long as you love enough. What I'm saying is, if you loving 200 people, don't matter if there's two who you ain't loving. That's right. If you can love a lot of people a little bit, you know, sandwich on Easter. Ham on Christmas. Then sometimes we think that covers our responsibility, and then we get an inaccurate assessment of our love, or rather our walk in Jesus. And so all of a sudden now you think, because you love a lot of people. Matter of fact, you hear some people say it, we can live any kind of way. Why? You won't say live any kind of way, but you can do what you brought a lot of people to Jesus. Amen. What you love and what you did, and we begin to assess everything based on this quantity. But Jesus tells them something different. He speaks to them to a different part and says, he said, all I want you to do is love one another as I have loved you. This is the new commandment. This is the law. This is the rule. Here's what I need you to do. Now, St. John the 13th chapter, here's what happened. They had the supper. After the supper, the Bible said Jesus girds himself up and begins to wash the disciples' feet. He does not ask. He doesn't look for permission. He doesn't make a special ceremony. He just girds himself up. The Bible said takes his loincloth, girds himself up, gets down on his knees, runs a basin of water, and starts washing the disciples' feet.
Amen.
Start washing the feet. No disciple, no apostle says anything till he gets to Peter. Peter, when Jesus gets to Peter, Peter said, Lord, not my feet. Then Jesus said to Peter, Peter, you don't know what I'm doing, but you're going to know in a minute. And then he said, if I don't wash your feet, then I don't have nothing to do with you.
Amen.
Peter said, all right, don't wash just my feet. Wash my hands and my head also.
Amen.
Jesus said, if I just wash your feet, you're going to be cleansed every way.
Amen.
So then Jesus, after he washed his feet, he said to them, now I'm telling you why I did it. Told him before, you'll know why I did it afterwards. And then at the end of it, he said, I'm going to tell you why I did it. I did this as an example. He said, the same that I did to you, that's the same thing you ought to do one to another. That Jesus does not offer us a love as reference that we just make it up, pick it up, pretend to put it together, or come up with some idea of his love based on anything other than his example. So he said, I'm going to show you exactly why this has to be done, because I have to give you a living, physical, moving, breathing example. Here's how you love.
Amen.
And so then Jesus said, here's a new commandment. Here's how they're going to know you. Not by your big Bible or your long dress. Not by the fancy words or the scripture you memorize. Here's how they're going to know you, my disciple. By this quality of your love. You're going to have to love like Jesus. You're going to have to talk like Jesus. You're going to have to live like Jesus. He said, here's how they know you.
Come on, man.
Amen.
That because we become unrecognizable to Jesus' standard. Now, I'm not talking about other people's standards, and that's been the issue. We just made up our own assessment. The Bible said now it's high time. Peter said the judgment must begin at the house of God.
Amen.
That we have to start assessing ourselves properly. If we're not loving right, we got to do something about it.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
And when we are talking about love, who do we compare this love to? It's got to be the love of Jesus. How do we compare this love? And I'll tell you, the truth is, we think that we have the right to alter it, and we think we have the right to change it. And because we have altered and changed, there's a word, a definition, a word that means to alter, change, or use in the not original state. It's called to pervert. And so because we perverted the gospel of Christ, because we perverted the will of God, because we made it now what we want to make it, and then we tell people that that's how Jesus loves. Jesus thought it necessary not to give through divine inspiration the word of how he loved. He thought it necessary not to send message by way of emissary on how he loved, but he thought it necessary to come down in flesh, bear the weight and the sins of the world on his shoulders. And then on an old rugged cross, on a hill called Calvary, that when he died, it doesn't mean anything to you until you realize he died not just with some sin. He died not just with a sin. He died not just with the world's sin, but he died with your sin. When I start then receiving then what Jesus has done for me, he was wounded for my transgression, bruised for my iniquity, chastised for my peace. Jesus did all that with me in mind because he loved me so much. It become personal. Now we're talking about relationship. And so the love that we have toward others got to be based on our relationship with Jesus. You can't tell me you had a little talk with Jesus and you still acting ugly. You can't tell me you've been locked in prayer and you still acting ugly. You can't tell me you're walking in the spirit and you still acting ugly. That we have then to come to now to understand. He said, all I need you to do, new commandment,
That's right.
love one another just as I am.
Amen.
That means that not only do we not add anything to it, we don't take anything away from it. We want to love people that we feel like are worthy to be loved. The church only want to save people that look like they want to be saved. And so because we made it this our mission, and we're looking for somebody who look like they deserve to be loved and act like they're worthy of being saved, we walk and step over a whole lot of people. That's not how Jesus loved us.
That's right.
The Bible said we love him because he first loved us.
Amen.
That the emphasis is that before you ever loved Jesus, said I love Jesus, said Jesus, you've been good to me.
Yes.
Before you ever said Jesus, I can't make it without you. Before you said Lord, it's me standing in the need of prayer. Before you ever said Jesus, if it had not been for you, before any of those things, Jesus already loved you.
Yes.
But he loved you
Yes.
in a significant way
Yes. Thank you.
because he did not require, listen to me on this right here, that you do anything. Now I'm talking about Jesus' love. I ain't talking about your mama. I ain't talking about sister. He didn't require that you do anything.
Amen. Favor.
He loved you first without acknowledgement,
Amen.
without any representation from you on your behalf.
Thank you, Jesus.
He simply loved you
Yes.
because that's who he is.
Amen.
And so we love based on everything else except who Jesus is.
Yes.
He did not require anything because he didn't need you to try to move him or maneuver him. Love is who he is.
Amen.
He didn't need you to try to prove that you're worthy of it. Love is who he is.
Amen.
He didn't need you to try to act like you're acceptable or that somehow you've done something or that you can prove yourself that this is due you. He just loved you. I mean, he just loved you. The Bible said that, listen, he loved us so much that while we were yet in sin, Christ died for the ungodly. You mean to say not only did he love us first, but he already knew our condition. Oh, Jesus. Can I tell you, that's a hard part for the church. It's hard for us to love you when we know what you did. It's hard for us to love you when we know where you came from. It's hard for us to love you when we know what you're struggling with. But Jesus knew what you did, knew where you came from, knew what you were struggling with, and loved you anyway. He loved you in spite of all those deceitful ideas and all those dirty thoughts and all that bad play. He loved you anyway. Besides all the backsliding and all the lying and all the evil concubines, he loved you anyway. Jesus loved you in spite of all that. Listen now, wait a minute. He loved you. You still ain't done nothing.
I know you're right. Thank you, Jesus.
That you didn't have to make a confession for Jesus to get up on that cross.
What you say?
But he loved you so much that Jesus got up on that cross and said, no man take my life, but I lay it down. And if I lay it down, I can receive it back up again. That this issue happened now because the example was then set. Healed Calvary on the old rugged cross. Jesus died for you and for me. And then Jesus said to us, if any man is going to come after me, that definition means that any man is going to be like me, my disciple. Let him first deny himself, take up his cross. That then we don't move into a state of enactment until we first receive the example. Let me say, I want to make sure you understand me. I want to talk fast over this. We can't move into it until first we can see it. Till first you can receive it. Jesus told them, wait until you receive power. First you got to know the gift before you can work in the gift. That he told them, then if you're going to come after me, if you're going to be like me, if you're going to be Jesus' people, disciples, blood-washed believers, followers, if you're going to be any of those things, the first thing you got to do, he sets the commandments clear. First thing I need to do is deny yourself. That the first act of love is submission. Why? Because you haven't done it, you won't do it, and you can't do it by yourself. The first act of love is submit. You got to deny yourself. We'll get into it a little further, but if you if you really love somebody, sometimes, and listen, it gets uncomfortable because sometimes they'll step on you, walk on you, maybe even spit on you. You can't just love those who love you. Jesus said ain't even no reward in that. But love them that hate you. Love them that persecute you. Love them that despitefully misuse you. Why would you do that? Because that's the mission. Because that's the purpose. Because real love does not change who he is based on the condition of what's around him. Jesus is the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. The Bible said that we be no longer children tossed to and fro by every strange wind of doctrine. That's what's been happening to us. Anything happens in the atmosphere, the news changes you. Somebody frowning changes your mind. Somebody looking at you funny changes your mind. We're no longer children tossed to and fro. You can't move me like that. I know how Jesus loves me.
Amen.
So that if I have this then example, if I have this this law now that I gotta love like Jesus said love, not only do I know when I'm hitting it, but listen to this. This is where I gotta get honest and real with myself. I know when I'm not.
Amen. Amen.
You know you are, but you get mad if somebody mentions.
Yes.
You know when you're not loving like Jesus loves you.
Amen.
Because you find it very hard to love people on their bad days.
That's so true.
The real measure of Jesus' love for me is not what you see at church. It's not when I'm praying. It's not when I'm even calling out. It's when I didn't deserve it.
Amen.
It's when I didn't call him and he came anyway. It's when I never prayed but he still answered. It's when I never even welcomed him but he came on in. He's been good to me. So we allowed ourselves to simply come up, conjure, produce things that are in disobedience. The Bible calls them idolatry. With these things that work against his very nature. Another Jesus that doesn't love everybody, but loves some people a little bit, some people a little more. A Jesus that can love the people in this building, but not the people in that building, because the people in that building don't say the same thing to people in this building. And so because it got so confusing, because we just make up the standards and make up the rules and then we abide by them wholeheartedly. But here we see right in John 13, Jesus said a new commandment. One rule. I'm setting the standard and I don't need you to add nothing to take a new commandment. Who gets you back in check? When's the last time you rebuked yourself? What happens here is that we become responsive in the wrong way. We've been moved and pushed back and forth in the wind. And the Bible calls the enemy, the devil, the prince of the power of the air. And he moves us through this influence that happens just in the atmosphere. And so your day is determined not by who you're in relationship with, that's Jesus, but simply by what happens in the atmosphere. Bad is around you, you have a bad day. Sad is around you, you have a sad day. Weirdness around you, you have a weary day. And so that atmosphere has affected you so much, you think the atmosphere is now your Lord. Said, no, I'm never Jesus, my Lord. The Bible said, to whomever you submit your members to, they have lordship over. That's easy. To whomever you submit yourself to, that is your master. If something rings and you come running, they got control over you. Anytime that you cannot control yourself, something else is controlled. That is your master. And so we allow all these influences, all these things to have master over us, and then we say that we're Jesus people. But if you can't move you. Jesus said, I'll tell you what this generation is like. It's like people sitting in the middle of the square and sitting in the middle of town center and he's playing and ain't nobody dancing. Nobody's moving. Can you imagine? Jesus said, now listen, there's an impulsive response that happens when you're connected with Jesus, and it's not because you just do it or try to fake it. You can't even fake it. You can't pretend it. Jesus said this. He said, my sheep hear my voice. They come after me. Personal relationship. Just so you know, I call them by name. And he said, we already connected like this. I know they got some issues. I know they got some troubles, but they know how much I love them. The thing that has been hard is that The Bible said the apostle was concerned that someone might come and preach to you another Jesus. That'd be real messed up. Somebody came and tried to preach to you another Jesus. You'll say, no, I know who Jesus is. Matter of fact, you declare, I tried him for myself. I got the example in my living. But what if we are the ones preaching another Jesus? What if our Jesus that we're given is not like the one that we're getting? It was Jonah who understood that you can't beat God given. Jonah said, I know how my God operates. And so if I mess around and let him do everything he want to do, he'll just go forgive everybody. He'll forgive people, listen to this, y'all, that don't deserve it. If I just let him just have his way, he'll let anybody in church.
Amen.
I mean, backbiters, backsliders, blasts. I mean, he'll just open the door.
Amen.
So I know what I got to do. He realized that he couldn't change the nature of his God. So listen to what he did. He changed the nature of his purpose. Oh, Jesus. There's sometimes when you don't like somebody, you don't wish evil on them, but you sure ain't praying for them. Because you know you can't change the nature of our God. You'll change the nature of your purpose. If somebody you got a real issue with and you know you're called to love everybody, what you'll do is stop dealing with them so you don't have to actively deal with them, and then you'll say you're loving everybody else. Change the nature of your purpose because you know who your God is. And what I'm saying is that you know that if you just have an example of how good he is, the Bible said, he said, I will never leave you nor forsake you, that we might boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I shall not fear what man shall do unto me, that we could come boldly to the throne of grace, that we might obtain mercy and find grace to help in our time of need. Jesus' horns are so broad, his grace is so sufficient that you can't control who comes. Oh, I mean, I know it sounds right to say okay in church, but there's some people who you don't think should be allowed to come.
Well, come on.
There's some people who hurt you that you don't think should deserve his grace. You got some personal issues involved in this thing. There's some people who've done some stuff so bad to you, there's no way they deserve just to come to the altar and be automatically forgiven. Oh, that hurt you a little bit when I mean automatically. They ain't even got to come in good. Just, Lord, have mercy on a sinner like me. And leave justified. Not just don't curse him, Jesus. Not just don't destroy him, Jesus. But leave justified. Oh, that's big medicine. I mean, no, they leave justified and free. The Bible said, not only free, but listen to this, blameless. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Then Jesus got the nerve after that to not treat them after their sin. He don't handle them like they ever did anything. The Old Testament says, wash in the sea of forgetfulness.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
That means that not only do they get to come and instantly be forgiven, but it's like they never did nothing. Oh, you better get, I'm trying to get you to get down to the root of this thing, because if you don't get down to the root of it, you're going to keep lying to yourself.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
That thing is so, so heavy that Peter asked the question. He said, Lord, I know you said that you got to love your neighbor, you got to forgive your neighbor. And he said, first question, who is my neighbor? Who do I have to love? Jesus told the parable about the Samaritan, and Levi passed by and the priest passed by, and he was left half dead, and then a man from Samaria seen this man beaten and half dead and had compassion on him. And then Peter wanted to know, he said, Jesus, all right, I understand that. My neighbors don't mean in my neighborhood. Jesus, I understand my neighbor go past. Whoever I see in me, I got to have that same love. They got to be able to move me. I got to have that same compassion for. However, I got another question for you. How often do I got to let people step on me and lie on me and treat me bad? How often do I just got to just sit there? How often do my brother offend me and repent and I forgive? He said till 7 times.
All right. Amen.
7 times already makes him a better man than me. I'll tell you why, because you're imagining it happening somewhere else. They get you on the back side, the left side. What if they come to that same side of your face?
Well,
1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. He said, if I take 7 good ones,
amen.
Jesus, surely that's enough to say enough's enough. The next time, number 8, is going to be a new beginning. But Jesus said, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. And as oft times as your brother sin against you and repent, forgive him. You can't tell me this thing ain't deep. That's why I know it takes some supernatural intervention to be able to do what we're talking about doing.
Amen.
As oft times as he sinned against you, forgive him. You mean repent. Even when he did it on purpose. I'll tell you what we're trying to do. We try to qualify the repentance. And this, oh, they didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get in the Bible. You show me where Jesus said, as all times as they repent, and you determine that they mean it,
Come on now.
that they showed enough remorse.
I hear you.
Because that's where we're at. Even when you go to court, they say, oh, no, I don't think they showed no remorse. What does that look like? You mean to say I got to do what you think I should do so you can determine how it is I really feel? That's not what Jesus said. That's not what the Bible said. That's not what the rule is. The rule is this. Listen to this. As oft times they sin against you and then say, I'm sorry. Forgive me. What if it's that fake sorry that they've been doing? I'm just trying to get to a real place with you because that's, you just been finding loopholes in it. You found all kind of loopholes in the Bible. I want to seam up all the loopholes in that. They didn't really repent to you the right way. You remember that when they came, you said, I'm sorry, but you didn't like the way their arms was crossed. You didn't like the way their eyes was closed tight. Said, no, they repented, but they didn't mean it. They didn't do it right. I will not accept it. So, since we are now qualifying the acceptance level of repentance, how do you repent? I mean, what makes your repentance acceptable?
Well,
How can you come boldly to the throne of grace if your repentance ain't acceptable? I mean, you need help. You need mercy. You definitely in a time of need. And you ain't got your repentance together. You just understand that there's availability for forgiveness. There's a woman in the Bible said who came, she broke the alabaster box at Jesus' feet and began to wipe down his feet with her tears and the oil in her hair. And Jesus said, I've been here eating and ain't nobody touched my feet, ain't nobody else washed my feet. He said, but this woman, though she seen much, she loves much. You mean that he said this woman, though she sinned much, she loved much. And Jesus said her sin, though they be many, they are forgiven. So what are you saying? They ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I'm saying without a repentance, without a confession, she just came to Jesus. You mean to say that her relationship to the right location, she just came boldly to the throne of grace.
amen.
Her repentance wasn't in the right order.
Thank you, Jesus.
She just knew if I just can make it to where Jesus is, he loves me so much. It's how good his love is. I didn't got to have the right words. I just got to make it to where he is. I ain't got to have everything in order. I just got to get to where my help is. And when she got there, Jesus, he took over in a way that's automatic. And that's what his love has done on us. It has done for us. It has moved automatically. As soon as she got there, without saying words, she starts washing Jesus' feet and just crying. She knew already she made it. The Bible said they knew the woman, some part of her background, because they knew she was a an unclean woman. He said she was a sinful woman. Jesus let this sinful woman rub all on his feet. Then Jesus acknowledges her sin. Oh my Jesus said, her sins, though they be many, are forgiven because of how she loved.
That's right.
I'll say it to you, let me run it back. She connected to Jesus through love. And through love, her lifeline, forgiveness, is automatic. It's not that you got the right repentance. It's that you hooked up with the lifeline. And whenever you need some repentance, all you got to do is come back to the source. And forgiveness is automatic.
Come on, man. Give it
Jesus said because she loved much. Let's take it all the way back to John 13. John 13, Jesus starts out by washing feet. So I'm going to ask you the question, who else besides this woman and Jesus washed feet? Jesus then said, this woman knows how to love. She loves on another level. She did something that nobody else was doing. She did something that nobody else even thought about doing. That out of all these people in the Bible, he's with the apostles, all 12 walk with Jesus. They know what he has to go through. They've seen him fast and they've seen him suffer. They've seen him hungry. They've seen all these phases that he had to deal with. Not one of them ever washed his feet. I'll give you a moment to think about it. Scroll through the scriptures in your mind. Not one of them said, Jesus, it's a long journey. Lord, let me wash your feet. But this woman did something that there was no example for. Nobody else had washed Jesus' feet. Nobody else had even offered.
Amen.
They made him dinner and offered him food. But nobody ever washed his feet. But this woman, not only did she wash his feet, but she had a plan. She came in, the Bible said, with precious ointment. An alabaster box full of oil. When she broke the oil and washed Jesus' feet, they got mad. Judas said, this woman wasting his oil. Peter said, I can't even believe that you, Jesus, humble as you are, would engage in such a waste. But he said, this is necessary.
Yeah.
So now then the relationship becomes not just one that is necessary on Jesus' side, but now one that is necessary on your side to be in connection, and everything flows automatic. Let me run it back. Love, automatic. Forgiveness, automatic. Grace, automatic. Victory, automatic. All you do is just hooked up with it. That it becomes harder and harder to break old routine, bad habits. A conditioning of not loving. A condition of not loving like Jesus. Just a condition of it. Peter said, above all things, have fervent charity. Because charity covers a multitude of sins. That's what Jesus did. He didn't just love you. He loved you and covered you. He loved you and covered you. He loved you and covered you. Peter knew how deep this was. Goes on to say, as every man has received the gift, so minister ye the same gift, one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Your job is not to make it up or come up with a gift or find the gift. You can't give what you don't got. Jesus said, just love them like I loved you. I don't want you to make it up. And we talked about it here a little while ago on this. Keep coming back, but we only imagine ourselves. Jesus, there was a man, Jesus speaks parable, and a man who was in debt to his master. Went to the master and said, Lord, have to be patient with me. I ain't got no money. I can't afford to pay. The master was all prepared. He said, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take your family. Everybody's going to be locked up until you pay me every penny you owe me. But when the master seen how much he needed this forgiveness, he was moved with compassion. And he said, your complete debt is forgiven. You don't owe me nothing. He just removed, he said, you don't owe me a thing. I'm removing your debt.
Glory. Thank you.
He set him completely free. Now here's the thing about that. It ain't made up.
Thank you, Jesus.
You act like somehow they just making up a number that you owe. No, if you accrue it, then you owe it.
Yeah.
So the debt was there for a reason. He did the crime.
Thank you, Jesus.
But still, Jesus loved him enough to give him this grace. He was moved with compassion. He released him and freed him from the debt of sin that was on his life. He released him and freed him and let him go. And then simply just said, go free.
Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Same servant finds another servant that owed him a fraction of the money that he owed the master.
Yes,
Said to the servant, you're going to give me every penny. I'm taking you and your children and your family. Everybody is coming in with me until you pay me every penny you owe me. Because as soon as he left the master's grace, he forgot what he had received. He wasn't living like he'd been forgiven. He wasn't living like he'd been set free. He wasn't living like a debt was paid that shouldn't have been paid. All he remembered is that there was somebody else who owed. Oh, Jesus. And church people are some of the most forgetful people. Having eyes, ye see not. And having ears, ye hear not. And do ye not remember. Oh, we'll forget about what Jesus done for us quickly. Let somebody run across you the wrong way. Matter of fact, you'll forget just how nothing we are. We're nothing and nobody until we think we somebody. You say, oh, I'm just a nothing. I'm a nobody. I'm trying to tell somebody. Until somebody talk about you. Then how dare them talk about you? Because now all of a sudden you were nobody, but now you somebody. How dare they owe you that? This debt. I said, how dare they do this to you? They become so personal to you and never Jesus. The Bible said in the book of Hebrews that we have to consider Jesus lest we be weary or faint in our minds. Why is that? Because it's too much for you to bear trying to figure this thing out yourself. And every time you try to measure it up some other way, it's just too much. You just got to leave them alone. Oh, I'm mad with them. I'm just going to leave them alone. I don't know how to love them. I'm just going to leave them alone. The Bible said consider Jesus. You have to look unto Jesus, who is the author and finisher. Otherwise, we all going to fall. What you found out after the first time is that you came to the church after doing things that seemed ungodly. And lightning did not fall from heaven. The earth did not swallow you up. You came and found out the altar was still available. You came and found out that not only that, but Jesus did not put you on blast. He didn't say, look, so-and-so coming in here, she know where she was last night. He know what he did yesterday. No, he loved you anyway. Jesus said that we understand this charity covers a multitude of faults. He's not just talking about what we have heard. He's talking about example. That we have example of his grace. That Jesus loved us, do some stuff, and he could have exposed us. He could have blocked us. He could have let us not in, but he loved you anyway. In the backslide, I would never. Oh, Jesus. I would never backslide. And you think just because you come to church regularly, that means you have never backslid. Can I help you out? What if you that come to church regularly used to shout your shoes off? Worship was what you do. You would just worship all day long. But now you don't do that no more. And the Bible said that worship is something that is desired of our God, something that is necessary. So if you don't do what you used to do, isn't that the definition of being backslid? That means you come to church every day and still be backslid. Jesus said it this way: if you bring your gift to the altar, you at church already. Got your gift. There for a purpose. But remember when your brother got all against you, leave your gift. Don't be reconciled. You mean to say there's some stuff that we do just going through the motion that we still need to get fixed?
Amen.
That you could be in church going through the motion still need to be fixed. The man who had the son who was possessed with the spirit, listen, he was going to church all the time and didn't believe that his son could be healed. That if you don't believe it, you can't give it. If Jesus ain't your Lord, how can he be their Lord? If he can't do it for you, how could he possibly do it for them? That if we get accustomed to it, if we live that way, if we walk that way, if that's what comes out of us, if that's what we have become, it's no wonder that nobody wants to be bothered with us. Jesus said this now, I'm not making this up. Jesus said out the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Amen. That's it.
Jesus said, this still Jesus, y'all. By your words, thou shalt be justified.
By your words,
You shall be condemned. Jesus said, it's not what goes in a man, but what comes out. That's right. That you can see there's some stuff that's coming out of us that just ain't like Jesus. You can see the conversation just ain't quite being. The talk just ain't quite being. I can tell you why I don't like talking to church people. Let me tell you. Too sad.
Don't be sad, bitch.
Too sad. If ever you want to add sadness to your day, find somebody with a big life. For all the joy that we're supposed to have, we find it hard to find. You talk to them never about the joy of Jesus, always going to be about a problem. And we think that if we don't acknowledge the problem, that means that we're trying to act like we don't have no problem. But the joy got to be bigger. The grace got to be bigger. The victory has to be bigger. The first Adam is natural, the last Adam quickening spirit. But you have to work on that submission thing. So that way when they get to you, your first response is not your natural response, which is always saying.
That's right, man.
You don't wake up with no bad day. Wake up in a good day. It's always a bad day. So officially the evil of today, it's always bad. Matter of fact, if something bad doesn't happen soon, in the beginning of the day, you start looking for it. You start calling up trouble.
Right.
You start looking for instances of confusion. Let me see if they done got that thing together. You'll call them up just to make sure you get your day started right. I can't believe they ain't done this yet. Let me check and see what they gonna do. You'll call them up. Just to make sure that you have just enough distraction in your day. But when is it that you have changed the nature of what you do? I mean, more like what Jesus would do. Jesus said if you got to come after him, you got to first deny yourself and then take up your cross. The Bible says, forbear one of the burdens and so fulfill ye the law of Christ. That's the design. That's the purpose. That's the mission. That these things that are on the cross are not imaginations. They're not butterflies. They're people.
Amen, Bishop.
And I mean this literally. There's some people who you're going to have to carry. And the Bible says forbear in love. That love covers.
Yes, sir.
That we're going to have to just forbear them in love.
That's right.
Don't mean they're going to act better, do better, or treat you better. Just love them anyway.
Right. Amen. That's it. Amen.
That when it is naturally, I realize I've done something to Jesus that absolutely bothers me when somebody does it to me. You decide you're going to be, or you're going to do something compassionate, considerate. Say, I'm going to give them this thing. And you give it to them. They take it. They look at it. Now, they don't give it back.
Yeah.
But they don't say thank you either. Matter of fact, they take it. They don't even smile.
Come on now.
I mean, they ain't giving me nothing. They don't even say, oh, I appreciate it. Nothing. They ain't even pretend it. But they take it anyway. You mean to say I can take something and still be ungrateful? They receive it, but no gratitude. It occurs to me that in my living, I have done this several times over and over again with Jesus. And anything that I don't have gratitude for, I will not appreciate. And when I do not appreciate it or know the worth or the value of it, my worship will be off, non-existent, gone, done, finished. This is exactly what happened. We receive it and he's done it for us. He blessed you again. Here you are alive, 2019. What has man? Jesus.
That's right there.
You receive it?
Yes, it does.
But here you are complaining. Can't believe this. Gotta go through this day like this. You came in here on your own two legs? Oh, Jesus. You mean to say they didn't will you in? They didn't carry you in? You still alive? Seems like you might have a little bit more gratitude. All these years we still alive? People see you now, they're surprised to see you, not because they just surprised to see your face. They're surprised you're still alive. Out of all the people that left out, you're still alive. Out of all he brought you through, you're still alive. There's so many times where the enemy could have had you. So many times when you should have been there. God to give you so much bad news you used to it. Here you are, still alive. The things that never happened. The people that were planning on robbing you, but something happened and they let you go. The bullets that were tending for you, but somehow they passed you by. The place you should never been at, but somehow Jesus let you leave out of there. He has been good to you. And all that stuff you did now, he'll let you walk in church with your Sunday clothes on, with your Bible in hand. Sit wherever you want to sit. Go right up to the altar, just like you never did nothing. Who wouldn't serve a God like this? It's not that people don't know that they need Jesus. That's not something that people consciously are aware of. People don't know how good Jesus really is. Because we're not loving like he loves us. Because we're not being moved with compassion. Why don't you do it? Because they need it. We're still waiting for the response. We only want to give or minister to or preach to or give the word to somebody who's going to say thank you. Oh, Jesus. But you have so many times been ungrateful and Jesus still refused to let you go. Then he healed your body, you went out seeing as much as you could. Jesus loved you anyway, then you had the nerve to come back to him and he was available. He refused to let you go. Matter of fact, he was there all the time. He was there all the time. 1 Corinthians 13, you know that Paul says prophecies shall fail. Speaking in tongues shall fail. Even understanding shall vanish. But charity, but love never fails. We have been working with the wrong tools. We have been working under the wrong law. It is not your spiritual gifts that draw people to Jesus. It is not your gifting or your anointing or your calling or your purpose. None of those things have anything to do with winning people for Jesus. Your goal is to show the love of Jesus. He said all that other stuff will fail. We're going to call those bad days. You ain't prophesying on your bad day. You ain't speaking in tongues on your bad day. But what does Jesus do? He still loves you. We have to learn to connect with this love of Jesus and love like he loves, even when it's our bad day. We want to have the acknowledgement of doing it. There is no acknowledgement for loving somebody. Not really.
Amen.
This job.
Yes.
When you love somebody and don't make a scene of it.
Come on now.
When you love somebody and don't listen, I want you to know that I love you on this date today. Love. I mean, when you just love them in the morning, love them in the afternoon.
Amen.
Anytime you see them, you just move with compassion. And when you love enough to not cover sin, but love covers sin.
Yay! Amen.
I ain't trying to sin with you, but listen, I can show you that Jesus still is love.
Come on now.
Jesus loves so good, listen, sin can just wash on by.
Amen.
Pass right over.
Yeah.
Long gone are the days that I think that somehow your sin gonna rub off on me.
Uh-oh.
And we have to have enough love of Jesus to know that his love loves in spite of.
Yes.
Not the fake stuff, and that has to be our mission. I got a mission, a mandate to stomp out this fake love.
Yeah. Well, don't
We need to break it.
Well, sure do.
We need to remove it.
Yes,
And the only way we can do it is by showing the real love of Jesus.
That's right.
The only way you can do it is not by that person, because when you're doing that, you are the person. I come in here to prophesy over all y'all ain't loving right. That's what's been your problem 15 years. Everybody else ain't loving right.
Everybody else.
The Bible says only one right.
Come on.
God, everything else is trying to line up, add up,
Come on.
get better.
Yes, sir.
And if we don't get better, we've been getting progressively worse. And loving is
Yes.
not only our main mission, it's our only mission.
Sure is.
Crazy.
Help
Not to
Jesus.
build it's your only mission. When we're not loving, we have failed.
Yeah.
That's it. Failed. I don't care how many people you have sprinkled a millicrumb of love on, that you pretend to act like you like a couple smiles you show, and I showed them the smile and the love. That's not the love of Jesus.
Amen.
As a matter of fact, on your best days, I mean the days where you thought you were doing good.
Come on now.
On the days when you thought everything was going good, the sun was shining right, people were treating you right, you were skipping, had a couple dollars in your pocket, car started good, everything was going good. On those days, you don't even acknowledge it. Them your ungrateful days. You don't stop in the middle of your day and say, Jesus, thank you. You ain't shouting in the middle of the street on them days. It's after you come out of something. And you realize that even on my bad days,
Yes, sir.
even on my darkest hours,
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, hallelujah. Thank you,
Jesus
Jesus.
is love.
Thank you, wonderful Jesus. Hallelujah.
The Bible said that he who committed sin, 1 John, is of the devil. The devil committed sin since the beginning.
Yes.
For this reason, the Son of Man was manifested that he might destroy the works of the devil. That we're supposed to operate in the love of Jesus, so that some of this stuff that's in the atmosphere just simply does not work. It means that we can have enough love that we don't have to be affected. That Jesus said that when he died, he tore the veil of the temple in two. That means that now no longer are we slaves to whatever the enemy says. We have power over all the power of the enemy. That we can humble ourselves before the mighty hand of God and resist the devil, and he will flee. Why is that? Because we hooked up with this love of Jesus. Then now we can declare this. I know you're trying to make me mad. You're trying to make me stop loving, but it ain't gonna work. Jesus has been too good to me. I can just think about the goodness of Jesus.
Amen.
The Bible says you have to get your mind back right, your meditation back right, your understanding back right. If there be anything good, anything pure, anything peaceable, anything of good report, think on these things. And the God of peace, he shall be with you. He'll give you a peace that passes all understanding. That you got to get this thing back right. Otherwise, you get weary and faint in your mind.
Sure will. Amen.
You don't give up on Jesus, you give up on people. And you can't have Jesus without the people.
Amen.
It's been a problem.
Amen.
It is a problem.
Amen.
People don't give up on, oh yeah, I'm leaving church. I'm leaving church because Jesus ain't the same. No, they're leaving church because they got a problem with people.
With somebody. Sure. Amen.
But you got to have enough relationship with Jesus
Yes,
to be able to deal with people.
Amen.
You want to deal with them based on your emotions, based on your thoughts, what you feeling, what kind of day you have. That's not who Jesus is. That Paul said, He said, now, all these things shall fail, but charity never fails. He said, now, right now, we see in part. When he who is full shall come, then we'll see him whole.
Yes.
When I was a child,
Yes. Yes.
I spake as a child,
Yes.
thought as a child,
No doubt.
understood as a child.
Amen.
But when I became a man,
Yes, Jesus.
I put away childish things. Oh, Jesus, we still talking about now how love works. He said, I understand before in immaturity you can move me easy. See, children are emotionally based. They are maneuvered easy. When you get a little baby, you can make a little rattling noise. The baby might move. Might grab a little rattling noise. You can do colors. You can move and motivate them through their senses. And it's so. And he said, I used to act like that. Everything was an impulse. Oh, they don't like me. I don't like them. They ain't love me. I ain't love. I'm having a bad day. Y'all know I'm going through something. Everybody, church, worldwide, united, pray for me.
Well.
He said, but now I understand.
Yes, sir.
I understand that no matter what, I just got to keep on loving.
Amen.
And if I keep on loving,
Keep loving.
if I keep on loving,
Yes, Jesus.
I can love myself through some stuff and around some stuff. I mean, I don't understand everything he said, but now I know I just got to keep on loving. He said, I don't think I can prophesy over everything. I just know I got to keep on loving.
Amen. Yes, sir. Thank you, Jesus.
That we still behave in, I guess, childish behavior
Yes.
because we operate in something that is not even the rules. I mean, it's not even part of what we're supposed to live in. We're called to love. We should love. What do you do when you're not loving? You get yourself in order.
That's right.
What do you do when you're not loving? You pull yourself together. Because Jesus asked Peter about himself, or Peter's love of Jesus. And he said, Peter, do you love me? Simple question. Peter said, you know I love you. Jesus said, Peter, do you love me? Peter said, Jesus, you know I love you.
Yes.
Peter asked the question, but when asked the question again, the Bible said, upset, Jesus, you know I love you. Jesus said, if you love me. You see, question, I left this part out for the end. Lovest thou me more than these?
Come on.
Oh, wait a minute. And now we talking about the real Jesus love versus this fake man. He said, don't you love me better than this?
Yes. Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
If there's one thing that we can make up our mind to do, one unified process, unified purpose. We ain't got to all clap the same, sing the same, shout the same, none of that. But if we can just love Jesus better.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
He said, here's how they're going to know you've been with me. You're going to have to love better.
Yes.
Love changes everything. If we can just love Jesus better.
Yes, sir.
And you can't love him in an imaginary way.
You shall.
It just doesn't work.
Amen.
Oh, I'm so in love with Jesus. Hey, you can't be in love with Jesus and hate people.
All right. Come on. Amen.
It doesn't work.
Well,
He is love.
yeah.
He that loveth not knoweth not God. God is love.
Love.
You just can't do it.
Can't do it.
So at what point do you declare I love Jesus more than this? I got to get myself together. How many days does your bad day affect exactly what you minister?
Well,
Your ministry cannot be changed or cannot be allowed to be changed just by simply what you're dealing with in your day.
amen.
You have a bad day, you're giving a bad message.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Jesus.
Your word turned bad. Gloom and doom.
Oh, my God.
Oh, don't worry. Everybody got bad times and go through bad seasons and have bad trouble. And because we have changed and perverted ourselves with trying to make another love, one that we can handle, this one doesn't cause that you handle it. It doesn't require that you get better. Not in that regard. You don't pull yourself together and start loving harder. You've been the problem this whole time. What I'm saying is, we do not need more of you in this situation. This is one situation where all you need to do is get self out of the way.
Yes, Jesus.
Not about how you feel or what you think or who you think. You got to get self out the way.
Amen.
He must increase.
Yes.
I must decrease.
Yes.
You got to get yourself out the way, and that's how this thing just starts flowing. As soon as you move you out the way, love just flows. You ain't got to make it up. It's easy to flow in love if it ain't got nothing to do with you. You ain't got no emotion in it. You ain't got no thought in it, no mind in it. Jesus said love, then you love. But if you're able to shut up your bowels of compassion, the Bible said that dwelleth the love of God in you. You just can turn it on and turn it off. It's not him, it's just you. That's not divine authority, that's not power, that's manipulation.
It sure is.
Love you, turn off. Oh, you go and you go. Turn the love back.
Amen.
When do we just love like Jesus said?
Yes.
Jesus said, and here's how the love flow should work. He that believeth on me, as the scripture have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers.
Yes, sir.
Rivers.
Hallelujah.
Not one, rivers
Yes.
of living water. It'll just come automatically. He ain't got to worry about if there's enough, will there be enough, who I'm supposed to love, who treat me right. It just would flow.
Amen.
You've been trying to figure out how to love. You just can't. The best thing I can tell you to do today is give up. Because if you give up, that's when Jesus can start working.
Amen.
You've been trying to figure out how you can do it and be glad about it. You're not going to be able to do those things.
You sure won't.
That's not going to work. I want to forgive them, but I want to not feel bad about forgiving them. No, you got to get your feelings all the way out of them.
Yes, sir. Thank
You got to declare, if it be the Lord will, whatever you want to do. Any way you want to use me, Jesus.
Yes.
Any way you want to move me, Jesus. I will be satisfied.
Amen.
Then we're called to spread this love one to another. Minister these the same gifts one to another.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, what have you been given? If you ain't giving Jesus, if you're not giving the love of Jesus, what are you giving? The love of Jesus is not you saying the love of Jesus. Just want to parenthetically put that right there. You just can't
Put it right
say the love of Jesus, and that means that you're operating in the love of Jesus.
Amen.
But can I tell you, real operation is a living experience. That means without no Bible, without no church building, without no audience, still, even without, listen to this, that you can operate in the love of Jesus without saying the name of Jesus. I mean, without no words.
Amen.
Oh, Jesus. Matter of fact, if you got to say it, you probably ain't even doing it.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
That there has to be something that when they see this kind of love exemplified,
Glory.
they look at you and declare, what manner of man is this? I don't understand this kind of.
Thank you.
I mean, I ain't gave them no reason to love, but they love me anyway. I ain't gave them no reason to treat me right, but they treat me right anyway. That's how good Jesus has been to you. That's how blessed you've been. He's kept you and blessed you
Amen.
and worked everything out for you, and you don't deserve it, haven't and won't deserve it, and he still loves you. Let us go ahead and be a note here.